Today we're talking about fruit juices. And I would like to give you the reasons for why I do not drink fruit juices. And maybe listening to my rationale, you will be able to make your own educated choice on whether you want to engage in the practice of fruit juice drinking or fruit juice fasting or not. Because to me, it's a no-brainer, and especially given the research that I went through and saw this so many pieces that make this practice at least unsustainable, at max dangerous. So let's begin. In this video, you will also see my experiment that I conducted after I had a conversation during my latest live stream, or after my latest live stream, in which a person sent me the videos of a person doing watermelon juice fasting. And I argued that, the person that my viewer sent to me was drinking up to 9 liters of watermelon juice daily, which is over 2 gallons. And I argued, I was like, it's dangerous. There's like literally, when the juice is stripped of fiber in such quantities, it is dangerous. And the person argued, they said that watermelon only contains such small amount of fiber that it doesn't matter. So I decided to run an experiment to demonstrate if it matters or not, because watermelon indeed has only 5% fiber of weight. So 95% of the watermelon is indeed juice. I decided to illustrate whether this 5% of fiber matters or not. So you will see that. I will have the whole experiment footage in this video. In this experiment, I'm going to time how long it will take me to eat whole watermelon until I get full. And then I will quantify how much juice that watermelon contained by multiplying it by 95%. Then I will measure how long it will take me to actually drink an equivalent amount of liquid. Then I will use this data to calculate the rate of sugar supply. The experiment was to show the rate of consumption, essentially, that this fiber does matter. And I'm comparing whole watermelon consumption with drinking. Let's begin. So the main evil of the fruit juices is not even glucose, but it is fructose. And fructose has different metabolic path from glucose. They're both monosaccharides. They both have the same chemical formula, but fructose is metabolized by the liver. So it's absorbed in the small intestine, where it goes to the liver. Liver converts fructose into glucose, into lactate. And some of it, if there is fructose overload, it also gets converted in the fats and the lipids. And so fructose, when it is consumed slowly, when it is consumed in a bound form, your body doesn't have problem metabolizing it. So fiber is the key. Fiber and the rate of consuming fructose are the key. And this is where fruits are unambiguously considered a safe food. And several articles emphasize that there is no need to limit fruit consumption, specifically in terms of the fructose consumption, because fiber literally makes fructose contained in the fruit safe. In this video, I'm not going to focus much on the glucose, because glucose, everybody knows about insulin resistance. And of course, when you are drinking sweet drinks, when you are bombarding your body with glucose solutions on top of fructose, yes, of course, you are stimulating the development of insulin resistance. Yes, you are living in a perpetual state of sugar rush, because both fructose and glucose must be bound to fiber. They must be delivered to the body slowly, such that there are no distortions in the metabolism, in the healthy metabolism. So with fructose, the rate of consumption definitely matters. Whether it's bound or unbound, it definitely matters. So what are the dangers of fructose? In general, for general population, it is considered safe and even beneficial to drink up to 1 serving of fruit juice per day. Standard diet, when people don't get as much antioxidants and vitamins from fresh produce, because this diet is mostly grains, some like meats, dairy, and stuff like that. So for people who normally do not get exposed to the wholesome, fresh vitamins and stuff like that, antioxidants, consumption of up to 1 serving of fruit juice per day is actually beneficial. And in terms of development of such condition as fatty liver syndrome, that is related non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, it is related to consuming high fructose drinks, and the studies prove that. When we think about the consumption of fruit juices, small doses actually can protect the liver from developing this disease because of the antioxidants. But the articles become very not conflicting but implicit of the fact that no more than 2 servings of fruit juice per day can actually promote the development of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Because of the counterbalance, because the fructose effects start dominating. And as I mentioned, one of the fructose metabolism metabolites are lipids, the fats. You know that liver produces cholesterol, liver can produce fats. So when you drink a lot of fructose, this fructose overload can lead to production of high amounts of this fat. And this in turn can lead to increased cholesterol, it can lead to formation of gallstones, it can lead to the circulation of those lipids in your bloodstream. Fatty liver disease is related to IBS, and actually when you overdo the fructose, when you chug high amounts of just fructose solution without it being bound, when you're consuming it fast in high doses, then it not only bombards the liver, it also can pass into your large intestine, it can disrupt your bacterial balance, it can cause fermentation, and it can cause the IBS as well. So in patients with IBS, consuming high fructose containing drinks, including fruit juices, may trigger IBS, or IBS itself also becomes the factor preventing absorption of fructose. So it is a vicious cycle in people with IBS. Then I mentioned that one of the metabolites of fructose metabolism is actually lactate. And in people who suffer from diabetes, this becomes a very dangerous thing as well. And usually people who are, who try to improve their health via raw vegan diet, they sometimes are very compelled to go on a fruit juice fast because it's something that is very widely advertised. So they start drinking fruit juices, and people with diabetes, these lactate spikes are even much stronger, which can lead to clinical acidosis. And I know that many people who are into raw veganism, they are all about alkalinity, acidity, about all this ash and stuff like that. But there is actually fruit juices can cause acidosis if the person already has prerequisites for being unable to healthily metabolize fructose, or when the person gets bombarded with fructose from fruit juices. So this can be literally straight dangerous. Then another thing is that in some people, this overload of fructose can cause secondary insulin resistance. So not only you're chugging drink with isolated fructose and glucose, you are also, through this metabolic path of fructose, you can cause secondary insulin resistance. So we're already having on the list certain hazards, certain health risks, such as non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, IBS, microbiome disruption, bacterial overgrowth. Then we have also insulin resistance. And we can also face such thing as acidosis. So do you need all that? This is the question. So literally, the fruit juice is literally you strip the fruit that's already usually when fruits are ripe, they're soft, they're supple, they're very easy to eat, and they have natural limits on how much you can eat per unit time. And actually, when we think about fructose metabolism, we introduce on one hand, there are articles that don't look in detail in terms of how fast the fructose is consumed. So they give the guideline 55 grams per day, from 55 to 100 grams per day of fructose. But some articles that actually look at the rate of consumption of fructose and metabolic responses, they introduce the guidelines for how fast the fructose can be consumed. So typically it's 1 gram per kilogram of body mass per hour. With fruit, it's less concerning because you're not only consuming it slower, And even if you exceed the rate, this fructose will be still bound to fiber. So its release will be slower inside of the body. So there is some regulation mechanism. But when you drink juices, you first of all, you chug the juices fast, and my experiment proves this. And you also can consume much more of juice than you would consume the equivalent amount of juice from fruit. And fruit juice, and also when you're eating fruits, you're giving your body some time to tell it that's enough. Your body can start feeling satiated earlier. So with juice, you can chug it faster, you can chug more without feeling full, and you also don't have fiber to regulate the release of fructose. So this is the trinity that differentiates the fructose coming from fruits, that regulates the rate of its release and metabolism, and the fructose coming from the juice. So what's the point of stripping it off and drinking it? To me, it has much more cons than pros compared to eating fruit. So yes, some people will argue that fruit juice does contain some fiber. Yes, it does. Some trace amount of fiber. Yes, some soluble fiber. And this is what people see who do like juice fasts. Like they see those mucousy stools. Yes, because some tiny amount of soluble fiber actually turns into gel inside of your colon. And with all the factors, how the fruit juices can disrupt your microbiome, how they can increase your mucus production as defense mechanism. This makes total sense that people see, and they call it detox. In terms of the rate of supply, I put the article links all in the description box. They all should be open access. The article studied two groups of people. One group of people consumed 500 milliliters of fruit juice within like some period of time. And then the other group was consuming 125 milliliters of juice every 5 minutes. And they were taking their blood work. They were doing blood work every so many minutes. And they were seeing how their body responded to huge dose of fruit juice at once and small doses taken with some small interval of time. And they found that in the group of people with high dose of juice within a short span of time, they saw a spike of insulin, spike of uric acid. Actually, I didn't mention that fructose also can increase the uric acid, spike of lactate, and some other parameters. So you will see. And within people who were sipping this juice slowly, they didn't see the same problem, the same acute response. And so when we think about people who are on juice fast, on fruit juice fasts, they need to drink, again, gallons of juice, right? It's ridiculous. So they need to drink gallons of juice. And so they either have to shock their body with fructose and glucose, and shock their, not just their like liver and pancreas, they shock their colon as well. And they're thinking that they're flushing themselves with the juices, when in turn they're causing bacterial disbalance and fermentation, and increase the acidity. Actually, increase the acidity when they're drinking all those alkaline things. And on the other hand, they can drink those juices slowly, but then their teeth, their mouth will never see saliva. Their mouth will never have a chance to regulate its pH, ever. So to me, it sounds like a very non-sustainable practice. And then another thing is that if people go on months of fruit juice fasting, I would really be concerned about non-alcoholic fatty liver disease development, because this can be linked to development of gallstones as well. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. I understand that, yes, there are antioxidants, but at some point, the effect of fructose will start outweighing the thing, because that person who was doing watermelon juice fast, they're consuming 625 grams of fructose daily. And I don't know if they're doing it like throughout the day, or if they're distributing it like 5 meals. Regardless of which, it doesn't sound helpful to me. If you are super into juice fasting, which I don't know if it's based or not, because our gut, our intestine, small intestine, colon, they like fiber the most. So fiber is something that our GI tract thrives off of, because it's stimulating, it improves blood circulation, it causes everything to move, it causes everything to propel, renew. But if you are into juice fasting, I would really be cautious about what juices you're drinking, because isolated glucose and fructose are not something that our body wants. Nature created the defense mechanism regulative mechanism by putting those sugars inside of the fruits that we're supposed to thoroughly chew, spend our sweet time, maybe peel, maybe like break down, bite, all of those things. And plus, inside of the body, it's released from the fibrous matrix. It's much slower process. Nature designed it this way. And there's so much research performed on sugar consumption nowadays because insulin resistance diabetes, obesity, metabolic syndrome, fatty liver disease are prevalent even among kids nowadays. So science has plenty of data on sugar overconsumption. Again, if you're into juice fasting, maybe opt for green juices. Maybe opt for I don't know, some celery root juices, celery, coarse greens, if it's something principle that you want to do. Because in some instances, something that you consider as symptoms of detox may be literally symptoms of developing some problems in the body from the fructose and glucose overload. So with this information, again, you can remain skeptical. The articles are all below. Please read them. Please dispute. These are studies. And I didn't make anything up. So it's all open sciences for everyone. And the difference actually that I would like to emphasize, and I actually wrote a blog post, please read my blog and subscribe to the newsletter on my website, about that science. The main difference between science and cult mentality is that science tries to demystify and explain. Cults, they take knowledge and they take possession of the knowledge and they sell it to you as magic. That's unexplainable, that's magical, it's so whoo. I'm against that. I'm pro open access to knowledge, open access to science. Yeah, so read the articles, read the papers, see the diagrams yourself, and dispute, argue. Also tell me about your experiences and stuff like that. So thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think about drinking fruit juices. Would you go on a fruit juice fast? And if you did, how it was? And would you do it again? So I would be really curious. Also, yeah, subscribe to the newsletter on my website and check the blog and also FAQ section. And if you have any questions, suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. Thank you. Now let's summarize the experiment. I ended up eating 730 grams of whole watermelon, which already was too much. I would probably stop at 650 grams or so. I ate it in 8 minutes. I converted it into the juice content by multiplying it by 95%, which resulted in 671 grams of juice equivalent. This contains 25 grams of fructose and 12 grams of glucose. Then, when I was drinking water, imitating drinking juice, so pretending to be drinking juice, I tried to take my sweet time, I ended up drinking 632 grams of water. It took me 1 minute 30 seconds to slowly complete the drink. Then, I converted the rate of glucose supply in case of watermelon, whole watermelon, and if it was juice. So, in case of whole watermelon, the rate of glucose supply ended up being 3.85 grams per kilogram body weight per hour. And in case of liquid, it turned out to be 20 grams per kilogram body weight per hour. So, over 5 times higher rate of fructose supply. And this is already in the dangerous range. So, it is definitely a concerning practice.